Today, I'm excited to drink this tea because if you saw the previous video, the companion video to this, we have two 2020 Sheng Puerhs, and the last video we drank one from Iwu Mountain, and it was a very delightful experience. And we ended up calling that Piece of the Wild. Very good tea. And so now we're drinking another Sheng Puerh from Nannuo Mountain from the same year. So it'll be interesting to see what the differences are. So
Yeah.
what do you want to tell us about this tea?
Really, what's great about one of the great aspects about this tea is that I don't know much about it. I just know that I love it. I know that it's from trees that are well over 200 years old, and we bought the rest of it from one of our sources. So it's along with the Iwu tea that we had last time. What did we call that?
Peace in the Wild or Piece of the Wild,
Piece
I
of the
think.
Wild. Yeah, very accurate. This tea is a great. Um, I don't know if it's like brother sister or like it's a. I feel like there's like a pair that they would be good in the same family of like kind of at least the experience of the 2020 spring teas. Um, I
Well, first thing is, this is loose. This is a loose leaf, and the other one was pressed into cakes, right? So
yeah,
that's
this
first
is
difference.
all Maucho. We just purchased like a big a fair large amount of Maucha, which is great because I love all tea. Like I love pressed tea, but I also love just getting some like loose leaf that has
Yeah.
never been pressed. The Maucha is just such a great I don't know, it feels like having a closer of an experience to being a tea farmer and just kind of drinking the leaf as is before you do anything else to it really.
And one of the things that strongly stands out to me about smelling this tea is it's super sweet,
Yeah. It,
like a plum, or no, apricot, right? Apricot. A lot of that.
yeah. It has that like that kind of like high, that sharper quality of the apricot has. It has a very what I love about the leaf color. We're just looking at this leaf. There's a lot of silver. It's very silvery,
Yep.
which is it's just beautiful to look at.
So we're both using the same pot that we used for the other tea.
Yeah,
Mm.
kettle's dancing over there. It's dancing.
The kettle.
Yeah. It's just like the lid is like. I put more water. I put a fair amount of water in my kettle. Yeah. See if you can see this.
Yep. What is that, a tarot deck?
Yeah, I got a new
A
deck.
new one?
Yeah, it's the mushroom tarot.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a new deck. I in April actually. I this guy the creator Chris like started a Kickstarter to make this deck, and so it's basically a culmination of something that started like in April really. So it's cool. It's cool. It's a really cool deck. It's based on the
Have-
Rider Waite, but
Okay.
there's some really cool. It's all mushroom themed, you know. It's pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
So,
I wonder if I don't know if I used enough leaf with this tea.
keep going.
I think I might add a little bit more leaf.
For me, I just had a little bit of the rinse. It's really good.
Yeah, I'll have a little bit of the rinse too. Try it out.
Sweetness is definitely coming through in the brew. I actually used more. I had an amount in my bag that was, you know, when it's like there's probably like this much that you wouldn't put in there, but then you just put it in there because it's the rest of it. So I might have put, I don't want to say too much, but definitely more than.
All right, so first steeping.
Mm-hmm. It's opened up a fair amount. Yeah. Mm.
So
Yeah, that looks like a nice amount. Mm.
color. It's got pretty good color for first steeping.
Yeah, right here.
Yep. Yep.
It's really good. It's just immediately
There's
good.
some citrus on this for me.
Yeah.
Definitely not harsh.
Mm-mm.
Though I think predominantly on the last tea we were saying it was super gentle, right? That was
Mm-hmm.
like one of the primary words. This isn't harsh, but I wouldn't say it's overtly gentle either.
This one's a little more upfront. I've described this tea like this before, but to me, it's a little bit. It's more like having a really good green tea,
Yeah.
um, but still, it has the fullness that you get from those older trees from, like, you know, the Puerh tea. So it's the best of both worlds for me. I don't drink a lot of green tea. I really do appreciate the refreshing, kind of crisp and clarifying aspect of green tea. And there's something very quintessential about having green tea because a lot of us had probably were exposed to certain types of tea through green tea or a certain type of tea experience. Um, so I always appreciate green tea, but to me, this tea is like having, it's almost like having a Japanese green tea with more of a kind of a little bit more earthy back of like almost mushroomy back end. It's very full. I still feel like it's a round and full tea.
Yeah.
Um, Not unlike the last tea we had, but a little bit sharper, a little bit more of those bright notes coming through.
Yep. Which, you know, definitely has to do with the leaf material, but also, you know, as a matcha, that's going to be the case on these earlier steepings anyway. It's just more leaf exposed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's non-Nannuo tea as opposed to Iwu tea. Iwu tends to be, um, Iwu teas can be very full-bodied, especially as they age, but Iwu teas are more refined and gentle and kind of tend to be sweeter and soft, whereas the non-Nannuo teas, in my experience, have a nice, like, kind of a nice, I don't want to say like a bite, but like more of a sharpness. It's pleasant for sure. Uh, yeah, this color I feel like is really nice.
Yeah. Very nice.
Mm. I feel like more floral notes coming through, and like more of like a kind of a vegetal, more vegetal. The last two is more kind of spicy. This is more vegetal and more. The feeling I'm getting so far is like it's like a sea anemone or something.
Okay.
Have you ever
I
been
don't have
to
much experience with sea
sea
anemones.
anemones? Have you ever been to well, it's like it's kind of like underwater.
Mhm.
Um, it's like a that swaying energy, but it's more fluid like water as opposed to like air, wind blowing it.
Mhm.
For me, I don't know if have you ever been to Cannon Beach, Oregon coast?
Yeah, Oregon coast. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, specifically at Cannon Beach, which is like one of the more well-known areas, there when you're walking along the shore, when tide is further out, you can there's all these like
Oh.
little yeah, little creatures that are
Oh.
like basically there's a bioluminescence kind of
Mm.
you could see it just right. It's really cool that you can just walk out there and then you're just in that kind of world a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but that's kind of what I feel is that there's and it's also kind of almost I almost say salty isn't the right word. That doesn't sound good, right? But the mineral content feels
Yeah, for sure.
more.
It definitely it gets to from 0 to 60 a lot faster than other tea.
Mhm.
Like it's very present. When this is the second steeping at this point. It's very present.
Got
It's
a lot of
more,
juice.
yeah, it got really full really quick and
Mm.
definitely has that minerality to it. Um, it feels substantial, you know.
To me, it's almost like a miso flavor. It's like an umami, like a
Mhm.
nice something like that.
It's got a good huigong on it.
It's like the tea soup. That it is like more of like a broth.
Yeah.
Melissa's nodding her head. She's nodding.
Very good.
Like the sensations I'm experiencing from this tea so far, in regards to the how it's lingering in on the tongue in my mouth,
Mhm.
and I'm feeling this like kind of opening in the chest. Feels if it's resting well in the body. Like I'm using a fair amount of leaf. Um, it's opened up significantly, but it's very pleasant. Um, are you on number three?
Yep. It's got an even darker color at this point.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, mine is still kind of matches this almost.
Well, the spicy quality to me continues to kind of escalate.
Mm. It's very. It's to me. It's
The
very.
stringency.
To me, it's very smooth. It still has a slippery. It's like more slippery than.
Yeah, definitely slippery.
even when you push it, like I have a fair amount of leaf,
Yeah.
but honestly, I used to do this all the time, especially when Melissa and I first got together. I feel like I was always making tea like this. You know, I'll start somewhere.
Yeah.
To me, this tea reminds me of my first good Sheng Puerh. It reminds me of the first time I had like a good younger Sheng Puerh that like made me feel good, and it was kind of reminded me of I used to drink mate solely. It kind of reminded me of some of the, especially the fresher Brazilian mates, which can be kind of like Japanese green teas, or you know, like they could kind of have similar kind of notes. It's very fresh tea. So
Yeah.
uh, I
This is
also,
energizing. This is energizing for
yeah,
sure. Like I feel like if people uh, find that they like to drink a green tea or something in that time of afternoon, or a chai when energy kind of wanes a little bit, uh, this tea would work really well for that, you know.
agreed, agreed. I also have a feeling with this tea um, that it's I get like a mushroomy note from it. The way that it kind of lingers on the palate, it has like a buttery quality to it.
Yeah.
Um, but also, I'm just feeling how it does. Well, it opens the eyes, but it also I feel this kind of I do feel like that L-theanine energy. You know, like I do feel like I kind of relaxing, but also like okay,
Right.
eyes are open.
But it, you know, energizing without that, the downsides of energizing,
Yeah,
no jitteriness, no um, crazy, crazy, whatever.
crazy.
No crazy.
No crazy. A little bit.
Is it an acceptable amount of crazy?
Yeah, I think we've got someone over here that
Digestible amount of crazy.
digestible amount of crazy.
But yeah, these steepings now are really coming together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whole, yeah.
Yeah, the color is really nice.
Mhm.
Can't really see it with my laptop camera, but it is. Yeah, you see it there. It's almost more of a neon color. It's a very bright color.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be just fine drinking this tea most days.
Yeah. Especially this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
And
Feels
again, the
very,
leaf material is super vibrant, um, fresh,
mhm.
youthful. I would say there's more, it seems to be more bigger leaf material in this than
Yeah,
the other tea,
yeah,
you know, but really nice leaves, full leaves in here.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty nice.
And these are the guys who look silvery. you know, when it was dry, these kind of buds.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love that. Yeah, there's a nice amount of, there's some buds, there's some bigger leaves. Um, yeah, well done. You know, the processing was really well
Yep.
done. There's a nice, like, slight variation of like lighter to darker greens. Good. I just like it. I like this tea. Oh wow, look at that. That almost looks more of like a Halloween type of.
Yeah, that's like um, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Give them some little hair, little
Hmm. Hmm.
hair up here. Hey, looks good. Oh, all right, done with that.
That's great. I dig it.
Yep. It's one of the many things you can do with tea.
Yeah, I feel that speaks to a certain aspect of this tea. Why not? Let's just do it.
Definitely like a lot of muscle relaxation with this tea. More than average, I think. Most good tea that happens, but I think this is above average.
Yeah, I feel it feels like it sits well in the body.
Mm.
What do you think? We got a head nod, so we're good. It's kind of like, yeah. This honestly, this tea has a slight stony quality to it. I don't know
Uh-huh.
anything about what stony is, but I'm pretty sure it's like this.
Okay. Um, well, to me, when I think of stony, I imagine, okay, if you threw like a bunch of river pebbles in like a bowl of water and drank
Yeah,
the water, that would be stony.
it would be. It would literally be.
So,
Or it's like, you know, when you're in the Grateful Dead parking lot and it's like, just hoping for a miracle, man.
is that a direct experience for you?
No, it's
Okay, because I don't even know
not.
that
It's
from
direct
direct.
experience for Melissa.
Okay.
So for me, it was I was observing. I was a third party observer. So I did experience it, but not in the I'm hoping for a miracle. I was kind of hoping for a miracle for my friend who was hoping for a miracle. So
Right. I don't get the reference, so.
yeah, it's basically when you in especially in that world, like tickets will sell out or whatever, and it's
Okay.
like you wanting to get hoping that you can get a ticket, you can get in there
Right.
and see the show. You know, have someone help you out,
Got it.
get you in there, so you can join the party.
Okay, so
But the body, but what I'm speaking to is like there's the body relaxation combined with uh, heightened awareness,
yeah.
kind of more of a kind of carefree attitude, like a little bit more of like, oh, it's okay. Like I feel like that L-theanine, the way that it
Mhm.
calms it, kind of like I feel like certain things that are a little bit out there that you might be thinking about kind of melt away a little bit because
Yeah.
you're kind of
They're
feeling good.
burned away, I think. I mean, there is so I think the muscle relaxation has a lot to do with the heat generation of this tea, the energy movement that generates heat,
Yeah.
which was happening a lot from steepings 3 until last steeping. And now
Yeah.
the cooling sensations are happening for
Hmm.
me.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
And the spiciness kind of, you know, I hadn't tasted this yet, but now the spiciness is a little bit, the edge has been kind of rounded off a little bit on it. It's still there, but it's more blended.
Mm.
with the kind of the autumn floral leafiness.
Yeah, I would say that there is a complexity to this tea.
Oh
I
yeah,
think there's
yeah.
a
There's a
really,
lot of notes in here.
yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely has a lot of. I feel like it has a nice potency to it. It's
Hmm.
and and it's October now, so this has got about probably 6 months on it of aging. So this is the kind of tea again. If you get a certain amount of it, even just over the course of the month, it'll be changing slightly, and it's enjoyable to experience that kind of changing as it's happening. I think this tea is, out of most of the Sheng Puerh that I've had this year, is definitely kind of punches beyond its weight, like in terms of the
Hmm.
cost and yeah, like when you're just when you get some of the tea, you'll see it that the leaves are all intact, and it's just looks
Right.
very aesthetically pleasing to look at.
Yeah.
Like you open the bag and you smell when you smell the tea, it's like, oh yeah, I want to have that.
Those are really,
Right?
it's a real, not all tea has that. Even, even the tea, the 2020 from Iwu yesterday, part of it is that it's compressed, but different teas have different levels of like the power of their bouquet, like red teas for me are usually, they're like usually very in your face with their bouquet. This one shines a lot in that area, which, I don't know what that indicates, if anything, but it's definitely a noticeable characteristic.
Yeah, as from speaking from my experience with drinking like lots of Sheng, um, this is definitely up there in terms of like young Sheng that I've had, in regards to like thinking about all of the aspects of it, the cost, the fact that it's Malcha, the age of the trees, where it's from, go down the list. This tea is, if I were to be so bold to say, I think it's a must try. If we were to have on our website like a must try, and I would only pick 3 teas, this would be one of the teas, along with Forest Spirit. In terms
Mhm.
of like giving, especially even from an educational, like if you haven't had a lot
Yeah,
of core
for
tea,
sure.
you
Yeah.
could drink this tea, and if you were to take, if you were to trust me for whatever reason, you don't even know who I am or any whatever, it's like you could, like, if you were to take my word for it, I would put my name beside this as like um, a
It's very
nice,
representative of a very good Sheng
yes,
Puerh, and it has
yeah,
the characteristics of a Sheng. It's really a challenging thing to do. Like I was looking at straight razors yesterday. Okay, so and I was looking at different reviews, and people are like, okay, well, people say that you should get this one. This is a good beginner's razor, but really, this one is great if you get to a certain point with your whatever skills. But the thing is, like, it's really ultimately about how it feels in your hand, and so many things are like that. It's like you you can't. That's, I mean, and I think that that's a indicator of why tea is so great, is because there is this level of relationship you can make with it, where there is no one answer. But yeah, this, if you want to get like a classic profile, even in my limited experience of Sheng, I'm saying this because I know you drink a lot more than me, but in the Shengs that I have, there is this kind of overarching characteristic that they all seem to share and pull from in different quantities. And this has a really good, it demonstrates that characteristic really well without, because Shengs can sometimes be a little bit less forgiving in terms of how they're brewed, and
yeah.
you can mess with them too much. And then it just ends up not being a good experience. But this tea is, it's got kind of built-in training wheels with it, while also giving you the kind of the Sheng experience.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, even it's not it can be hard to find a tea that has the potency, that
Hmm.
has like the fullness in the mouth, the roundness, the smoothness, and some not all teas have that kind of, I call it like this little grip. It's not at all scratchy or anything like that. If that's starting to happen, that's a little bit like, what's going on? Um, it's almost like when you see like a flower or plant in nature where it has very, very fine little, not like pokey things, but it's just like this very like grippy, it can grip
Hmm.
things, you know? And when you drink a good tea, I just imagine that it just can like easily kind of grip. I don't know if it's the best way of describing it. It's really hard. I'm trying to
Is it
describe
like
this.
adapted, like adaptogens? Like, it
Maybe
just,
it's like um, I'm referring to texture. It's like this. There's this fullness, and it feels like it something is catching a little bit, and it's like able to sink in, and you're able to absorb it, and it's very fine. It's a very fine and subtle thing. And this tea, I feel like, really is a good example of a tea that has a really nice texture and fullness for a young tea. Like sometimes that just does not happen until a little bit later, at least a year or two down the road, when it starts to oxidize a little bit. And
right, it's
this,
a more mature characteristic, generally speaking.
yeah, so like, I mean, these are from, this is ancient tree material. Like they're 200+ year old trees. Probably some of them are more like closer to 400 year old trees. Like it's probably in a spectrum between 200 and 400 years. So I feel like this tea is not just like barely 200 years old tea. You know, it's like from a very pristine environment, and it's more probably average 300-year-old. Like I'm experiencing more of they're in a good place where there's still lots of like that kind of, it's like strong, it has potency, but it's refined and it's very easy to drink still. And like you were saying, easier to brew,
Hmm.
because you can get some young Sheng Puerhs, and it's like I've had people come to the tea shop and be like, I did not like that. And I was like, well, how much leaf did you use? Like, well, water. It's like, oh, yeah, it's steep for like 15, 20 seconds, you know, or whatever. Like, yeah, well, probably that much leaf and steeping it longer like that. You know, you might want to flash steep that thing, or you want to rinse it at least once or whatever. So,
Right.
this tea, it can be hard. Like, Sheng Puerh is not like for a lot of, especially people that are used to a certain kind of the American palate. You know, it's for instance, like
Yep.
the closest
This
thing
is a
is,
more challenging profile.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it might be green tea is the most common, is the most similar thing. Um, but for me, again, my gateway was yerba mate, so I was well prepared for um, that sort of thing. Because I was drinking out of the gourd, and so that's basically just always, you know, you're re-steeping it over and over again using, you know, some people use a little bit less hot water, but it's basically perma-steeped, strong green tea, you know. So I like that. I like a little bit of astringency. I like a little bit of bitterness. This tea has it, but it's really balanced with a lingering, like that that huigon, that like
Yep.
pleasant returning sweetness. It does feel like it's a kind of returning. I like how it says returning, and the translation is returning, because it does feel that way of describing it as a returning sweetness is very much what I'm experiencing now, because you already drank the tea, and then it is kind of just, it feels like it's happening again and again. It's not just this
Right.
pervading, it's always happening. It's kind of like it comes in the forefront of your awareness and then dips back, and that's that you don't always get that with more aged teas and stuff like that. There's so much other stuff going on that that might kind of generally stay in the background unless it's a really good tea that like kind of is like, hey. And I think you could brew this tea a lot of different ways. Like I'm using the Shiba, which is like basically a Japanese style gaiwan. It's very similar to a gaiwan. It just has the a nice little kind of spout, and some of them are more pronounced. This is clay, but this would be good. We use this vessel for a lot of younger Sheng and stuff like that, and floral teas, so it works pretty well. But you know, using a porcelain vessel like that would be really nice with this tea, so you really get like purely like more so what the leaf is having to offer, or in the glass pot that's in our starter kit is nice, because then you can see it unfurl too. I like a tea like this in a more open vessel, like a gaiwan, because it's easier to kind of just like see the color and kind of gauge certain things. But it could be great in a pot too. You get more of a concentrated brew.
It's just different. I mean, also with the gaiwan, it keeps the energy open just because of the direction of the vessel is taking the energy in brewing. It's not like a closed womb-like thing like a pot. So it just keeps it a little bit, you know, because there is the strength in the tea, which unless you deliberately want to do it, unless you deliberately want to intensify it by putting it under more pressure, by putting it in a pot, this is just a really nice way to kind of play with that, in the strength that's in a tea like this. You know, without, especially if you're not used to drinking teas like this.
Definitely.
But I don't know if I have much more to say about this tea.
Yeah, I think in general, this tea, what I've noticed for myself, maybe it's this morning as well, but I don't have much to say about this tea, like talking about this tea, like this tea,
Right.
it's just, I feel like we could just kind of go back to the beginning and say it's good. Like
Yes,
it's
good tea.
there's no it doesn't feel like there needs to be a lot of it's just like it's just good, you know. It's like I'm not an art critic, you know. It's like
Right.
like I like this is cool, I like these colors, I like this art.
Right, and because it's not so specialized, you know, like some of the teas we drink is like they're very like they have very specific personalities. You're like, oh, this would be great for this. This is just a more classic, just like the forest spirit.
Yeah,
It's a general. It's like this is a staple basically. It's like, what do you say about staples other than the fact that it's a staple, you know, and it's good. Um,
yeah,
and yeah, so
yeah. I think it'd be this tea would be a great tea to also have alongside our other tea, that our Iwu tea, the piece of the wild.
right.
Like they're I feel like they would be nice to kind of
They might
have.
actually complement each other well in the same pot.
Yeah,
In the
honestly, that's
same,
another thing I wanted to say about this tea. This tea has been used for specifically for a blend for another tea, um, and it is a good. This would be a good tea to blend with other, maybe other single origin tea, or honestly just another Sheng Puerh. Maybe even I definitely feel like it would be good with that Iwu tea if you did like 1-to-1 ratio. And I think I might do that next time. See what that's like.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Just reiterating that it's a staple tea. Uh, I definitely feel like it's a tea that's worth buying. I would buy at least 2 ounces of it. Like I would buy more of it and just have it. It's very reliable. I think it'd be good for this time of year.
This time of year being
October,
fall.
fall.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it has a nice uplifting energy, but it still has a nice warming. It feels pleasantly balanced in the temperature.
Right. Cool. We done?
Yeah, well, let's have one more steeping. Let's do one more.
Well, we can still drink it, but I'm saying, are we done with the video?
Oh, okay. Well, sure. Okay. We could say bye-bye now.
Yeah.
Hit like and subscribe if you like, like what's the thing that you say at the end of this? But really, this is like the kind of tea I would like to have more of this. I would like to experience how other people are experiencing this tea, like what, getting this tea, and then let us know what you think.
Yep.
And if you're feeling a similar way about this tea, as a Sheng Puerh, avid Sheng Puerh drinker, I feel like this is a must try for this year, and a good example of the 2020 harvest. So I'm gonna drink some more.